She was sent by the CIA to carry out a mission, but she never expected that before the mission even started, she would fall in love with her partner. After multiple intimate encounters, she unexpectedly got pregnant. Although she was furious about this, Emily had no choice but to accept the reality. However, in order to successfully complete the mission, she didn't tell Matt, her partner, about the pregnancy and chose to proceed with the operation. The two drove to their target's house, planning to use a party as cover to steal a mysterious key that controlled the entire power industry. Under the command of their superior, Chuck, the two successfully infiltrated the manor. As he watched Matt and Emily move effortlessly, Charlie suddenly realized something was off. "I knew it was dangerous involving you two," he muttered. "You're sleeping together, aren't you?" Chuck's words made Emily slightly embarrassed. Fortunately, Matt quickly clarified that everything was strictly for the mission, making Chuck feel slightly better. During their conversation, the target appeared. Without hesitation, Emily sprayed a special chemical onto her hand before approaching the target. Using a simple greeting, she successfully obtained Gel's fingerprint and voice sample. The two hurried to the second floor and entered Gel's office. Carefully, Emily transferred the fingerprint onto the security scanner. Then, he played the recorded voice sample. With a beep, the safe unlocked. Matt swiftly grabbed the key. Chuck immediately emphasized the importance of the item. Not only could it control global industries, but it also held power over major power plants, dams, and nuclear facilities. This key had to be secured at all costs. However, the moment the safe was closed, an alarm blared. Emily and Matt attempted to escape, but the guards had already swarmed in. The two opened fire, swiftly taking down the guards. Following Chuck's instructions, they evaded security and maneuvered their way out of the manor. Outside, Mike, their contact, was waiting. He quickly ushered them into an escape vehicle, and the two boarded a plane to leave the country. Once out of danger, Matt excitedly reached for a bottle of champagne to celebrate, but Emily rejected the idea. Instead, she made a shocking confession. She was pregnant. She expected Matt to demand an abortion, given the nature of their work, which forbade children. To her surprise, Matt responded differently. "I said I'm in, all the way in. My favorite person is about to create my new favorite person." Matt's words deeply moved Emily. However, before they could dwell on the moment, Emily suddenly felt nauseous and rushed to the bathroom, only to be stopped by a waiter. Realizing something was off, Emily alerted Matt. Their instincts were correct. The next second, they were ambushed. Matt had no choice but to surrender the key. As he tossed it toward their captors, the two sprang into action. They first knocked out the champagne-carrying waiter, and then engaged in a fierce battle with the remaining attackers. Matt, worried about Emily's condition, fought with extra intensity. Despite being pregnant, Emily refused to back down. As the battle raged, one of the assailants retrieved a weapon and took aim at Emily. At the last moment, Matt leaped to shield her. The gun fired, but instead of hitting them, it struck the pilot. The plane spiraled out of control, plunging toward the mountains. Meanwhile, the surviving enemy attempted to grab the key and escape. Matt intercepted him, and another fight ensued. Amidst the chaos, the plane collided with a mountainside, sending the attacker flying out of the aircraft. As the plane crumbled, Matt realized there was only one parachute left. Without hesitation, he strapped it onto Emily and instructed her to take care of their child. But Emily refused to leave Matt behind. Instead, she grabbed onto him and deployed the parachute, allowing them both to escape just before the aircraft exploded. At that moment, they understood that someone inside their organization had betrayed them. Matt decided they should let the world believe they had perished, using this opportunity to disappear and live a peaceful life. Emily agreed. For the sake of their unborn child, they retired. 15 years later, they had settled into a quiet life and had 2 children, a son and a daughter. But despite being former elite agents, they struggled as parents. Their children, now in their rebellious phase, constantly gave them headaches. One day, Emily noticed something suspicious on his daughter's computer. Her screen displayed ambiguous messages. Suspecting she might be involved in something inappropriate, she tried cracking her password. After multiple failed attempts, he finally noticed a small note that read, "Mom sucks." Though annoyed, he decided to try it as a password, and to his shock, it worked. Looking through her computer, he discovered that instead of studying at a friend's house, his daughter had gone to a nightclub. Furious, she and Matt rushed to find her. Upon entering the club, they spotted her immediately, but before they could take her home, they were confronted by a group of thugs. "Not so fast," one of them sneered. The man's aggressive demeanor set Emily off. Without hesitation, She grabbed him by the neck and launched an attack. Matt followed suit, effortlessly taking down the others. The fight escalated until one thug was sent flying into a metal pole. Realizing their actions had drawn attention, Matt quickly deleted any recorded footage of the incident before taking their daughter home. They believed they had solved the problem, but they were wrong. Their peaceful life was about to shatter. A few days later, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Chuck. Matt was shocked to see him alive. Chuck explained that their nightclub fight had surfaced online, exposing them. He warned them to leave immediately. Gels had never stopped searching for the key, and now their cover was blown. Then Chuck dropped a bombshell. Their betrayer had been Mike all along. Before they could react, Chuck was shot. The house was suddenly under attack. Matt and Emily knew their children were now targets. They rushed to their basement, grabbed their emergency supplies, and made a daring escape. They tricked the enemy by sending a decoy car before fleeing in a different vehicle. After the peace was restored, the bandits immediately wrote a check. They didn't expect that there was no one in the car. At the same time, another car rushed out. It was the two of them, faced with dense firepower. She could only step on the gas and soon open the gap between the other party. Once the coast was clear, they made their next move, retrieving the key hidden in Matt's mother-in-law's house in London. Then Matt took out the energy drink and threw the gunpowder into it. He then threw it into the enemy's car immediately. The enemy just picked up the bottle. The liquid leaked out and exploded in his face, thus blocking their vision. And Emily saw an opportunity and ran into the other party's car immediately. After losing the bandits, the two immediately came to their children's school. They must hurry to London as soon as possible to get the industrial key and send it to the central police station for protection. Soon, they all took a plane to London. Looking at their children, both of them felt guilty. If it weren't for them, the children wouldn't have fallen into this whirlpool. After a lot of trouble, they successfully arrived at their destination. In order to prevent being tracked, Matt took his family on a bus. Unexpectedly, a few people just left. Mike took his people to the airport. At this time, he thought Matt wanted to sell the key at a high price because he knew Matt's cunning. So, he ordered to focus on the two children to find the clue. Matt was on the bus at this time, but before he could go far, he took his family off the bus again and used his own way to get a truck. Matt suddenly felt something wrong in the gas station because a group of men were surrounding them. Seeing that the other party was coming fiercely, Matt didn't hesitate at all and lit the gas canister directly to let the bandit experience the taste of roasted braised pork. His wife also attacked at this time and fought with the enemy. Although there were many people, under the perfect cooperation of the two, the enemy was soon knocked down on the ground. Then Matt rushed to the convenience store and found his son and daughter. The enemy's reinforcements were coming soon. They had to leave here as soon as possible. However, at this time, Emily suddenly found one of the enemies standing nearby. Seeing that he didn't hesitate, she spined the car around and ran into him. As the adversaries closed in, Matt leaped out of the window, drew his weapon, and aimed at the nearby truck. He fired twice, then targeted the tire and shot again. The truck veered out of control and came to a halt in the middle of the road. This maneuver temporarily thwarted their pursuers, but Matt and his family knew they couldn't afford to stop. They needed to secure the industrial key promptly to exchange it for the Central Intelligence Agency's protection. After a night of relentless travel, they finally arrived at the grandmother's house. However, upon exiting the car, they were taken aback by the grandmother's unexpected welcome. As a legendary figure in the Central Intelligence Agency, the grandmother's methods were always unconventional. Upon arrival at her villa, Matt and his family were warmly welcomed. After years apart, Emily believed his mother was living alone. To his surprise, his mother had found a young husband named Lena, who was the same age as Matt. This revelation left Matt feeling quite awkward. During their conversation, Matt learned that Lena aspired to become a top agent and had been diligently working towards his goal for years. However, due to his lack of innate talent, Lena had not yet succeeded. In order to avoid bringing trouble to Emily's mother, Matt and Emily went to the hide-and-seek room to retrieve the industrial key, intend to leave as soon as possible. Unbeknownst to them, their whereabouts had been exposed. At that moment, the enemies arrived at the outskirts of the manor. Using a microbomb, they successfully breached the door, immediately alerting Matt and Emily, who rushed back to the villa. Unfortunately, it was too late. Not only were both grandparents captured, but even the children were taken hostage. They initially suspected that Mike had led the assailants, but upon seeing the mastermind, Matt was extremely shocked to discover it was Chuck, whom they believed to be dead. It turned out that Chuck had faked his death to manipulate Matt into finding the key in exchange for great wealth. Although unwilling, Matt had no choice but to hand over the key. During the exchange, Emily's mother managed to unlock her secret weapon and, without hesitation, shot one of the bandits. However, this action attracted more assailants. Despite her past prowess, age had taken its toll, and she was overpowered, losing her gun to the bandits. The gunfire alerted those in conversation, prompting Matt to seize the opportunity to launch a counterattack. Although she managed to kill 2 bandits, with the child still in their hands, neither she nor Matt dared to act recklessly. In the end, they were overpowered and knocked out. Seizing the opportunity, Chuck took the children as a hostage. When they regained consciousness, Matt quickly checked the video surveillance and stumbled upon an unexpected clue. The ring on his son's hand had a tracker. Working together, they traced a signal and successfully pinpointed the location. Without hesitation, Matt and his team rushed toward it. Meanwhile, Chuck was preparing to hold an auction. Before it began, he demonstrated the power of the key to the wealthy attendees. Following his command, his subordinates activated the system. Suddenly, all the lights in the area were extinguished. To increase the key's value, Chuck ordered the city's floodgates to be opened. In just 10 hours, the entire city would be submerged. At that moment, the rich elites revealed their greed. This wasn't just a key, it was the ultimate tool for power and control. The auction officially began. The starting bid was $1 billion. Amid fierce competition, the price soared to $1.5 billion. However, before the auction could conclude, Matt burst onto the scene. Chuck made a swift escape. Matt, unwilling to let him go, pursued him immediately. But before he could reach Chuck, bandits blocked his path, forcing him to watch helplessly as Chuck fled with the children. Luckily, Matt's grandmother arrived just in time. A precise sniper shot from a rifle cleared the way, buying Matt and his team a precious advantage. Without wasting time, they set off in pursuit of the getaway boat. Elsewhere, Lena was waiting for their grandmother's signal to leave, but instead of their grandmother, he was met by Chuck's men. He quickly realized they were carrying the industrial key. After careful consideration, Lena knew this was her chance to prove himself. As soon as the enemy left by car, he intercepted them by ramming into their car. He then hurriedly relayed the good news to their grandmother. At the same time, Emily received the update. She immediately instructed Lena to close the floodgates to trap Chuck inside. However, Lena had never handled such a system before. Despite his frantic attempts, he couldn't figure out how to shut down the floodgates. Just as the situation became dire, Matt and Lena managed to catch up to Chuck. Without hesitation, they leaped onto his boat and engaged in a fierce battle against the enemies. Though they were outnumbered, Matt and Emily fought relentlessly, overpowering their enemies one by one and tossing them into the water. As the boat approached the floodgates, Emily anxiously urged Lena to act quickly, but Lena was at a loss. Frustrated, he slammed the computer in anger, only to trigger an unexpected result. Accidentally, he closed the floodgates. Simultaneously, Emily strapped a life jacket onto the child and threw him into the water to ensure his safety. Meanwhile, Matt and Chuck's fight was reaching its climax. With a final, powerful punch, Matt knocked Chuck out. Realizing they had no time to spare, Matt and Lena immediately leaped into the water. But Chuck wasn't as lucky. His boat crashed directly into the floodgates. A violent explosion erupted. In the aftermath, Matt successfully rescued his child, finally reunited with his family to live happily ever after.